So you guys understand, Terence Crawford is stating that it's Canelo or I walk. And let me counterpunch. Walk. Because see, the thing is, I would be at peace and I would be okay with Terence Crawford leaving the sport. Why? Because unlike other people, I don't think Terence Crawford needs to prove anything else. I think what we do, we get in a habit of wanting fighters to do this and then do this. And if you beat that guy, oh, can you beat that guy? And then you beat that guy, or can you beat that guy? It's almost like when we do that, we challenge these fighters based on our dislike for these fighters. Okay? A lot of people do that. Like if you knew you weren't a Terence Crawford fan, you secretly hated the idea of Terence Crawford tearing into Errol Spence the way he tore into Errol Spence. No, did he? Right? So what did you do? Well, go here and then fight at 154 or go there. You need someone else to beat that guy because your guy got beat by the guy that you don't like. I mean, let's just call it, let's just be real. A lot of people do that. A lot of people just look for that one guy because they can't stand that one guy in front of them. I'm guilty of it. I did that shit 20 years ago against Lennox Lewis. I could not stand him. That has nothing to do with how the things I did or said about Lennox Lewis when he was talking about negotiations 5 or 6 years ago and we had a little words. That has nothing to do with it. But I'm just being honest. I didn't like Lennox Lewis and I wanted someone to beat him. I just did. So I do understand the mindsets of people that have that type of mindset. Like a lot of people don't like Terence Crawford. A lot of people call Terence Crawford boring, dull. He can't sell tickets. You know what I mean? And they said a lot of that about him. And I know a lot of those guys are the same guys that, hey, why don't you do this? And why don't you go up there? Those are the same guys that were Errol Spence fans. And for me, I think Terence Crawford has done enough in his career. He's done enough in his career. He's got 40 wins, 30 some odd knockouts, and he's a champion in 4 different weight classes. He's been undisputed in 2 different weight classes, and he's still undefeated to this day. You know what I mean? And he could fight all kind of which way. He could do all types of things in there, and I don't think that like people want him. And see, here's the thing. The same people that like, hey, they want him to retire are the same people though, right? That'll sit there and say, well, hey, he's too small to fight Canelo. Well, if he's too small to fight Canelo, then he should retire. But again, it's that thirst, that desire to see him lose because you don't like him because of something that he did to you. A lot of these fans, right? And that's the problem with Terence Crawford and the haters that he's required. Listen, Terence Crawford was a guy that was just coming and just swiping and going through people. See, it wasn't enough going on at 140, right? It is now, but it wasn't back then. It wasn't 7, 8 years ago, okay? It wasn't enough, okay? None of that was enough at that time. So you go back to 2018 when he decided to move and leave, 140 and go to 147. At 140, it wasn't enough going on. They didn't have the Teofimos and the Ryan Garcias. They didn't have those guys. They had a lot of guys that nobody really followed. Everyone followed the welterweights. The welterweights was in, you had Errol Spence, you had Keith Thurman, you had Sean Porter, you know what I mean? You still had Kell Brook, you had Danny Garcia, you had a lot of people there. You had Danny Zugas was there, a lot of people were there, right? So they didn't have a problem with talent because these guys were making a name for themselves, and Terence was in a division below them, okay, that really wasn't on the spotlight. So a lot of people didn't know who he was, because a lot of people didn't respect the 135 division, the division that he was at before he went to 140, But then here's the deal. Guys like Lucas Matisse, La Máquina, the machine, was just, ripping through people, knocking Danny Garcia's mouthpiece out, which was a very good fight. And Danny came victorious in that fight, I might add. But, he was one of those guys that got shut out by a guy named Victor Postol. Victor Postol got dismantled by Terence Crawford. So Terence Crawford had been doing these type of things. Yoriokis Gamboa, the golden Olympian Cuban. Sure, people forget about him because Terence Crawford beat him. You know what I mean? So these type of things happen, and Terence Crawford doesn't get the respect that he deserves for going through all these damn weight classes and doing these miraculous things. You know what I mean? So if he decides to hang up the gloves because Canelo doesn't want to give him a shot, and I do really think he has doubts about that, honestly, then he should retire. Let him go. Let him go like Floyd, Money Mayweather, but she should be more respected, but he won't. You know what I mean? But, Andre Ward, Joe Calzaghe, right? Rocky Marciano. You know what I mean? These guys left the game undefeated. So why not Terence Crawford? Why not him share and understand what it's like to enter a sport, leave the sport with no losses, with no draws, with a perfect record, right? And done what he's did? I'm okay with that. You guys tell me if you're okay with that in the comments in the description below. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunched.